SBC Media.
Welcome to iGaming Daily, analysing the news from the betting and gaming industry all over the globe. Supported by SBC Summit Barcelona, the industry-leading conference bringing you the future of sports betting and iGaming.
SBC Summit Barcelona is the fastest growing sports betting and iGaming event in the industry, happening on the 19th to the 21st of September. Experience the entire global industry coverage under one roof, with 15,000 delegates, over 350 exhibitors, and so much more. Get your tickets now at sbcevents.com.
Hello and welcome to the latest and very special episode of iGaming Daily, where we have reached a landmark in record time, I'd say, because we've now reached 100 episodes. And today I am joined by Jessica Welman, my co-host, and we're going to be doing something a little different and a little special today. So instead of looking at the daily news, the biggest breaking news, we are going to be looking at the past 99 episodes and doing a little quiz about some of the interesting topics that we've discussed over the last 2 to 3 months. We think we launched this in August.
I mean, maths are hard, right? It would be about 3.5 months, I believe.
Do you know what? Time flies when you're having fun. I'll say that, and that's a cliche
the
saying.
thing is, I'm worried about this quiz because you've done so many more episodes than I have. I have listened. I can say, like, hand to God, I've listened to every single episode. But remembering 100 episodes of anything is going to be challenging. That hopefully our colleagues who made these questions are somewhat kind and weren't like, 15 minutes into episode 4.
See, because I not only do I host them, sometimes I'll edit the podcast, I'll produce them, I'll proof them 100%. I listen to the same episode about 3 to 4 times before it's published, and then I'll listen to it again once it's published on my mobile phone, on my car to do different audio tests.
All the listens that you can. I love it.
I've got a fear that I've not been able to digest everything, or the hope that my brain has just absorbed everything out of repetition. So I'm praying that I don't make myself look like a fool.
Is anything on the line if we, is there a winner?
There's no prize, just credibility, really. And hopefully, not embarrassment.
Paella on the loser in Barcelona this week.
Ooh, I have had too much paella, so I'm going to go steak tapas.
Okay.
That's
tapas of choice on the
tapas
loser.
of choice. Okay, we'll do that, yeah. And we'll post a victor's photo and a loser's photo.
We'll have a surprise, this podcast is now going to turn into a food Instagram. I love a good food pic. We'll make sure it happens, and I'll put it on my LinkedIn for sure.
Yeah, what we should do is actually the winner gets expensive tapas, the loser gets really cheap tapas.
I mean, either way, I'm eating ham, so no complaints here.
You're a winner either way. Cool. So we're going to go through. We've got 5 questions each. We're going to ask each other.
Yep.
This is how the rules are going to play out. If we end up tying this, we're going to have a tiebreaker question. And in between, we're then just going to ask each other some nice little questions about the past 99.
Questions we know we can answer.
Yeah.
To make us feel better in case this goes poorly, because we have not seen what these are going to be.
We haven't, no. And I'm quite nervous now. I was actually fine coming into this. I thought we'll smash this.
I opened up the 5 I'm reading to you and proceeded to, lose my mind.
Okay, on that, let's just kick into the quiz. And do you want to go
Sure,
first?
I will go first. This is from episode 31. It examined the new gambling advertising restrictions in France and the Netherlands. Why won't Dutch football club FC Emmen be hit by the impending ban on gambling sponsorships? A, it refuses sponsorships because it would ruin the purity of the club's shirt. B, it was founded by a religious group opposed to gambling. Or C, it's not sponsored by a gambling operator, but by a company that sells the kind of toys you definitely can't buy in Hamleys. This must be a British person who wrote this.
Yeah, I do remember this now. It's C.
It is C. Easy toys? Are these toys for friendly love time?
It's toys we will not broadcast on iGaming Daily.
Fair enough. Well,
yeah, no, it's
for one. You're off to a great start.
You know what? I'm a winner now because I just wanted to get one right. So we're good. Your question, though, is into my old domain in online casino in European space. So episode 64 saw a wide-ranging conversation entered into alongside Betsson's Pontus Lindwall and Jesper Svensson. This was the podcast on their financials with Craig Davies. Great podcast. Give it a listen, episode 64. A key touch point was stepping back from kind of licensing processes for potentially crucial jurisdictions. But where was this jurisdiction? Was it Ontario, the Netherlands, or Belgium?
It's not Ontario because there's a video of me talking with Lance Agostino of Betsson about being in there. So I'm going to guess. I recall, my European gambling knowledge is not great, but I recall the Netherlands being grumpier than others. So I'm going to say the Netherlands.
Is the best way to describe the Netherlands market at the moment, the Dutch market. So yes, it was the Netherlands.
Oh, score! Thank God. And I even got a nice plug-in for an interview I enjoyed.
Did.
Well, I mean, here's kind of the question before the next questions. Who, not on our team, have you interviewed that was like a real highlight? Because you've gotten to do more of those than I have.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I'm going to have to wrap my brain. So there was... So it was a recent one. It was with Anna Arakelian. She was from Casino.online. And she was just talking about kind of the roundtable that she was discussing. Well, she's going to be discussing this week at Barcelona. But the reason I really enjoyed it is because beforehand she was so talkative and nervous, and she was messaging me on Skype all the time, like trying to ask so many questions, just feel so comfortable about it. And actually, we then became quite good kind of friends from it because we still message each other now, and like we make How I Met Your Mother references because she's going to be a judge at SBC, the SBC Awards, and I keep referencing her as Judge Fudge or like Chief Fudge from How I Met Your Mother. And then there's a lot of back and forth. So she was a really nice interview to do. So this one hasn't actually been published yet, and this is kind of a pitch for tomorrow's episode because it's going to be Chipmunk Slots, who I'm interviewing. He's a slot streamer. He gave the most passionate interview I've ever had. We had such a good debate about Twitch, kind of where...
Oh, you love this
I love
this topic too,
yeah.
So no wonder you had a good time.
We went quite in depth and quite strong on Twitch's actions, and then also talked about Kick and the UK Gambling Commission and its stake limits imposed on UK players for streaming and the impact it's going to have and has had on Alvin, aka Chipmunk Slots. That's tomorrow's episode. It's a really great listen, and again, it's so...
I'm going to have to find time in between the busyness of Barcelona. But all right, next quiz question for you. Episode 39 was in Toronto for the Canadian Gaming Summit. Which member of the team was celebrating their birthday?
Yes. I'm so happy I got an easy question.
Do you even need the multiple choices then?
No, I don't. It's Nick.
Yeah, it was Nick. I saw that, like, the first one I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. A little hard. The second one I was like, oh, I know the answer to this. It gets harder from here. This is the easiest question you get.
I'm 2 out of 2. I'm happy right now.
I know you're cruising.
No, yeah, Nick Ware, I remember it because we took him out for drinks and stuff after, on the day of his birthday, which I think was the first day, or the play protection day. One of the two.
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember exactly which day. I just know it was his birthday over, and I was like, happy birthday. Welcome to Canada.
Okay, your question. I think you might get this one, because even though you might not get it from the initial question, it's very film orientated.
I love a film question.
So, episode 72 was centered around open banking and its potential evolution within iGaming. But which blockbuster movie also made a special appearance in the title? 1. Oppenheimer. 2. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Or 3. Barbie.
It was Oppenheimer because Joe actually liked that movie, and I was like, I can't wait to rip him apart about this. So it was Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I remember the episode, and he managed to get that into the intro, And
I think purely so he could talk about the movie.
yeah, that was all it was. But it helped me out so much because I remember struggling for a really good title for this podcast. And then I believe it was my colleague Scott Fulton who was just like, this should be the title. And I was like, wow. So yeah, you're 2 out of 2 now, aren't you?
I know, we're both 2 out of 2.
Absolutely nothing to worry about here.
I know.
I'm going to ask you a nice little soft question, in between questions, should we say. So you've hosted a lot with Charlie, and kind of your dynamics come on, well, I'd say come on Leeds Banter is strong to start with, and I really like the dynamic you two have. What was the most passionate conversation or debate that you've had with Charlie on the podcast?
It's, I hate to say this because it makes it sound like we don't have like nuanced conversation, but we often land on the same side of most issues, I think. So it's usually when I'm hearing about, he's hearing about something that he isn't familiar with the American market or the European market. I think we maybe have had the most passionate discussion fairly early on in New Jersey about Fanatics. He's more sold on the Fanatics database converting people than I am with like the merch and stuff. So I think hearing him kind of put his spin on the merch stuff was also a proud moment of just like, oh, look how much he's done. So I think that's probably the most, as you know, Charlie's not one to get like riled up like I am. Like you put the temperature a couple degrees too high, I'll have something to say about it, and that is not Charlie's problem at all. So
the great thing about Charlie is, and he's explained, or he's described himself in this way himself, so that I'm not doing him any ill justice here. When he complains about something or he gets into a topic, he is exactly like Carl Pilkington from An Idiot Abroad. Just the way he will go on about something so bluntly.
Well, that's the thing is like when he doesn't like something, it took me a minute the first couple times that it happened that he's this very like gentle person. And then he just says something that is the most cutting, painful insult you could that I'm just like, whoa. All right. We're going to move on to, this is from one of my episodes. We'll see if you pay attention to me or not. We looked at DraftKings' attempt to disrupt the Fanatics acquisition of PointsBet. Remember, they put in a competing offer. How much was DraftKings' unsolicited, non-binding, indicative offer for the operator like worth monetarily? Was it $125 million, $195 million, or $235 million?
I'm going, because I've got 200 in my head, I'm going to go with C, but no, is it B? Go C.
It was B. It was just under 195.
I knew.
I'm impressed though. You were right there with the ballpark.
Yeah.
And I think what might be throwing you too is that if I'm remembering the numbers correctly, it was like basically 35 million more than what Fanatics had initially offered.
Okay.
So I think you might have just been fusing two numbers together. These numbers questions, I'm just like, in a single episode, I've got to rattle off like 40 numbers. I don't know about you. I feel like I do nothing but rattle off numbers. So to call them back is difficult.
When we first started the podcast, we were very number heavy on my podcast, and it became mind-numbing for me, let alone the listeners. So we dialed it back a lot and try and only put the big numbers in there when we need to.
Here's a question then for you. What topic did you maybe not know as much about that you feel like you've learned the most so far?
Hands down, and it's been kind of the best experience I've had on the podcast and just developing my knowledge, and that's Brazil with Lucia Mourinho and Isidora Macanchi. Didn't really know about the market before the podcast. I knew it had a lot of potential. But then there's been kind of a news breaking like pretty much every week or two. And the way Lou and Isidora just explain all the news that's happening, it's so easy to digest and sink in. And it's just so interesting just to see how complicated that market is.
like it's self-promotional, but I will say, like, as much as you can go to SBC Noticias and SBC Noticias Brazil and do Google Translate. And, you know, certainly SBC News covers Brazil. We try to cover it a little bit at SBC Americas. I think getting the authors of the news speaking in English is so helpful for me to understand and make sure that I'm getting it right, because you never know when Translate is just like going off the deep end, you know?
Yeah. I'd like to say my enthusiasm and passion now for Brazil is what spurred me on to learn Portuguese. But I'm hoping further down the line I can actually start reading the news on that Isidore
that would
produces.
be cool.
But the news, that's kind of just narrative at the moment of Brazil is so interesting and never ending.
Yeah. There's something every couple of weeks for sure.
Okay, so I'll jump on to your next question. This is your third question. And okay, I think off the top I thought you might be able to get this. But it just depends how your wrestling knowledge is.
Oh, God.
And I already know that this was a question from Craig Davies, because he's one of the biggest wrestlers.
Wrestling. This has to be a Paul brother, for sure.
Yes. So episode 74 delved into the world of Better, whose co-owner is Jake Paul. Loathe him or love him. I'm more on the loathe side, to be honest. However, his brother Logan recently competed in WWE's Super Slam, but against whom?
This is a multiple choice, right? Give you some names.
So you have The Miz.
Okay, I know him.
Ricochet, and John Cena.
I feel like if it was The Miz, I would have heard about it, because I do kind of follow him, because he was on MTV's The Real World way back in the day.
Which one's The Miz? What does he look
Mike
like?
Mizanin?
No.
I'm going to say...
I know John Cena. That's about it.
Ricochet's from Kentucky, if I'm remembering this correctly, from my friend who was an... I'm going to say John Cena?
No.
It's Ricochet?
Ricochet.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know who that is.
I mean, like, story checks out. I don't know wrestling. I'm not embarrassed that I don't know this. Sorry, Craig.
Next question? Should we do next question or soft question?
Yeah, let's just do next question. All right. Episode 48 discussed Boca Jr.'s latest shirt sponsorship with Betson, who is Boca's leading all-time goal scorer with 287 goals. I feel like this is the same kind of question where our colleagues who are just sports fans have turned this into a trivia question completely irrelevant to the podcast at hand. With Betson. The question is, who is Boca's leading all-time goal scorer with 287 goals?
I bet if Lou did this, Carlos Tevez is included in the answers.
Joe did this question.
Oh,
actually.
Joe. Oh, I'm so sorry, Lou. I'm so sorry.
Carlos Tevez, B, Rodrigo Palacio, or C, Martin Palermo?
Okay, so it's definitely not Tevez. Okay. And even if it was Tevez, I would never say it was Tevez because I hate him so much. Who are the
Palacio and Palermo. Rodrigo Palacio, Martin Palermo.
Gonna have to just do a 50-50 guess and go with Palermo C.
Correct.
There we go.
You're gonna get 100% on this, aren't you?
Have I got
three? Oh no, you got the
points,
but one wrong. Okay.
I was close with that one. That was a pure guess. I've absolutely no
you're
idea.
3 out of 4, which is you've gotten the majority now.
Yeah,
you can you're on easy street.
Yeah, I'm on easy street, and it feels so sweet. And your question is not to put any pressure, but I feel like you might be able to get this. So episode 79, witness Penn. So I'm going to do that again. Episode 79. Penn threw everyone by pulling a switcheroo in signing a deal with Disney to run ESPN Bet.
I mean, I've written about this to death, so God willing, I get this right.
So, simultaneously they offloaded Barstool Sports back to Dave Portnoy. Portnoy?
Yep,
that's correct. For a cut down price of $1.
Yes.
What?
I'm concerned that you keep taking all of the information I know and turning it into the question, leaving me wondering what the actual question's going to be. All right, it's not $1, so continue.
No. So it's related to their social platforms, and by they is Penn. Oh, no, ESPN's audience, sorry. So
Is it ESPN's audience or Barstool's audience?
ESPN's
Okay.
audience. So what did Penn claim is the size of the ESPN audience across its social platforms? Is it 370 million, 420 million, or 445 million?
I mean, those numbers are big. I remember
They're bigger than I thought they would be.
So I thought, like, digital subscribers, I thought was like 100 something, but this is social.
So I think it's across all its social platforms,
Okay.
not just one particular.
They all still sound big, so I'm going to go with the smallest number, 370.
Sound logic. Well done. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, hey, score! Good, because that was not a number I was in.
That's like when you do a maths test and you have to give out your reasoning.
I know.
Reasoning's wrong, but the answer's right.
If I had to show my work, I probably wouldn't have gotten. But like they've thrown, and this is the same with the Barstool thing, right? You throw all these huge numbers out, believing that you're going to convert, and then those numbers never come to fruition. So I think my brain just auto tunes them out at this point, perhaps. But okay, this one is going to be. I don't know about this because I like basketball and I didn't know the answer to this. And I don't even know if you could like name that many NBA teams, but
I am more of an NFL boy than a
all right.
NBA.
We did episode 55 was all about the metaverse, which has been a buzzword that people have embraced kind of at different paces. Okay, this is also is American side means like a team.
Yeah, so if somebody said to me, reference a team in America, there was what American side do you prefer?
Okay. Oh, like what side of the game are you on, basically? No.
No,
Anyway,
so it's like what American NBA side would you prefer?
That's a British vernacular thing. Which American side was light years ahead of everyone and the first to join the metaverse? Was it the LA Lakers, the Boston Celtics, or the Brooklyn Nets?
And this is NBA.
Yes,
so
these are all NBA teams.
So I'm not a big NBA fan, and the only one that really stands out there is the LA Lakers, and I feel like they're a big enough brand to kind of make that step forward first and be the pioneers in basketball. So by that flawed logic, I'll go with LA Lakers.
It is not the LA Lakers. It is the Brooklyn Nets. This is where I'm going to potentially get myself in trouble because I'm speaking without researching. But if I'm remembering correctly, I feel like the people who own the Nets are like a little younger and a little hipper than some of the older franchises. Like the Lakers, like you've got a TV show about them on Max right now that's set in like the late 70s, early 80s, right. And it's the same owners. So maybe that's why, that family is not exactly eager to jump into the metaverse.
I thought just because they are such a big brand, they'll be like...
It's a reasonable guess. You did remove the Celtics, which should be the obvious answer to get rid of.
Okay.
But, I mean, you got 3 out of 5, and I thought these were really hard, so...
Oh, wow, we've actually gone through 5 questions already.
Yeah, that's your 5th.
Oh, wow.
I need one more.
You're on 2 or 3?
I got the wrestling wrong. I got the Netherlands right. I got...
Oppenheimer, correct.
Oppenheimer right.
So you're on 3.
And then, what was that first one?
It was the Netherlands, yeah.
What was the second question?
Oppenheimer.
Third question was wrestling.
Which you got wrong.
Wrong. And then ESPN numbers I got right.
So we're tied.
We're tied, and it all comes down to this.
We do have a tiebreaker if it's needed. So I think we should... So I've got 2 potential questions here for you. I'm just trying to think which one would be the hardest to help me win.
Yeah, if there's one you haven't, like, I'll answer honestly on this, like what I thought it was beforehand. So not the Germany one. If you want the other one, is fine.
So your final question, and to win it, episode 90. So
oh my God, so recently. It's going to be even more embarrassing when I don't know this.
So I'll let you know now it's European related.
Oh, God.
So you've got a bit of leeway there, I think. So Malta's controversial Bill 55.
I listened to this.
You shouldn't be digging yourself a hole right now if you get it wrong.
I know.
It protects MGA licensees from foreign liabilities with regards to gambling. Which country's regulator has already complained about it contravening EU law? Is it the Netherlands? Those pesky Netherlands, Spain, or Germany?
This is where, like, I get in my head, like, you know, where you're trying to, like, game the test versus actually get where I'm like, would they make the answer the Netherlands twice on me? I don't think that a test maker would, but I also know that different editors submitted these questions and that maybe the Netherlands.
No. Why am I sounding sad? No. Yeah, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's a tiebreaker. It was Germany.
It was Germany. Well, Norway now, too, I think, is telling people to pull out, or people are pulling out. This is what happens when I'm in Manchester and I'm sat next to Little Ted and stuff. I actually learned some things about the European market. Okay. Hopefully that's our tiebreaker. What's our tiebreaker?
It's not about Norway, no. The tiebreaker is actually one that we should both get. So this might end a draw. So
Tapas for everyone!
So iGaming Daily has been downloaded in how many countries?
I know this because it's so brag-worthy. You're going to know it too. We're both going to know it.
I was going to say like closest to wins, but I feel like we are going to get it bang on. So should we say it on the count of three?
Exactly.
1, 2, 3.
106.
So we've tied. What happens when we tie then?
We eat more. That's the answer.
But who pays for this?
SBC.
Andy.
Braz.
I was going to say Andy. So SBC, you owe us tapas because
we're so smart.
Because we consume knowledge on the iGaming Daily just as all the listeners do in 106 countries. But for a final light-hearted question to round this off, what would you like to do more with on iGaming Daily?
You've gotten to have guests. I would like to get more guests involved on our side. It's hard because there's so much news and it kind of you just kind of have to chase the news and keep up. But hopefully we'll get more well-rounded people involved. Yeah. Hopefully we'll get Sue on more. I guess she's like a guest, but she doesn't really count as a guest because she's part of the team.
I want Sue on the podcast more regularly because when she is on, she offers so much insight and used to bounce off each other so well.
All right, how about you? What are we, like, 100 to 200? What's the goal?
Apart from the cliche, keep growing like we are doing and get to every country in the world, I actually want to do more podcasts with you.
I'm going to say you've hit the nail on the head, James.
We nearly got through one.
You know that I've been listening because I was sitting on that, just being like, when can I get it in?
I would like to do more with you because originally I thought I dumbed down the American conversation a bit because I didn't know a lot about the legislative side of things.
That's Americans can barely keep track of that, but
we do a few podcasts together.
We should do you know what? At some point, let's do next an American Ask Me Anything, where you come with every question you have about America, and I'll just do my best to answer it.
Make it like America's 101 education. Let's do it. But yeah, I want to do more podcasts with you because I feel like we have
a nice rapport, my friend.
We do. And hopefully we'll be in future podcasts away from our gaming daily. Hint, hint.
Oh, that. Now that is an idea.
And you'll find out more about that in the not so near future. But apart from that, we'll round off the podcast today. We've celebrated 100 with a quiz. We've both tied. We've both been successful.
Now let's go eat.
Let's go get some tapas. And here's to the next 100 episodes. Or shall we say?
1,000. To the moon.
Let's celebrate the next episode at 1,000 episodes. If you're at SBC Summit Barcelona this week, reach out to both myself and Jess. We are in Barcelona right now. And we will more than happily come and meet you and talk about iGaming Daily if you want to talk about that. And I believe there might be some iGaming Daily merch hitting the conference room floor. So make sure you grab some of that and start spreading the iGaming love. But until then, goodbye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of iGaming Daily, brought to you in conjunction with SBC Summit Barcelona, being held at the Fira Barcelona Montjuic on the 19th to the 21st of September. If you want to find out more about some of the subjects raised today, feel free to explore any of the sites in the SBC News Network, or check out the latest edition of the SBC Leaders magazine. Happy reading.